Guys, my big green buddy over here and I would like to thank you for showing up to this class of the Comic Book University. We've broken this particular subject down into 9 different parts, and here's one of them right now. Now, those things changed to a degree when the Hulk became gray again. I know. Marvel went through in the late 80s a thing where they wanted to change everyone, right? Not quite, but essentially everyone. In Incredible Hulk number 324, all right, which was after a really good storyline where all of the Avengers, East and West Coast Avengers, and Namor come and She-Hulk, who was at the time in the Fantastic Four, came up and decided to try and put the beating on the Hulk because Hulk and Banner were separated, and like not just the minds, they were actually separated. All right, blame Nightmare. He started the whole thing, and the Hulk just became mindless. He couldn't get to his full rage because Banner wasn't in there, but he was still the Hulk, and he was still angry and extremely afraid, and he couldn't be reasoned with at all. He was just this big, purely mindless brute. And you got Namor and Wonder Man and Hercules all putting the beating on him. At one point, Thor was even in there. Just amazing scenery, right? Just the beatings that ensued were impressive. Really incredible Captain America moment in there that actually made me, for the first time, recognize that, instead of just, because I grew up loving the Hulk, right? I had the comic books, I had the Underoos, look up Underoos, kids. I had, you name it, right? I had everything that I could possibly have with the Hulk. Still have a Hulk, right? But eventually, as you grow up, you start to like other things instead. So while it was always Hulk and Transformers for me growing up, eventually reading that issue of the Hulk, what was that number? 300 and anyway, it's 320 something. I actually wound up liking Captain America because of something that they did in the Hulk series. Neither here nor there. Anyway, stay on topic Hulk, right? So the Avengers were finally able to overcome and defeat the Hulk, knock him out. It was because of Captain America and Betty Ross that they didn't kill the Hulk, because believe me, they wanted to. They wanted to just end it right there. So they bring the Hulk down, and they're going to put him in this tank. The Vision winds up getting stuck in the Hulk, and the Hulk is so angry that his anger actually keeps the Vision, who's what do you call it? His matter manipulation. He's actually density manipulation. Excuse me. He's actually trapped inside the Hulk, and later on, it's Betty is able to calm him down, and eventually Vision's able to get loose, and Hulk's going to get put in a tank, and Thunderbolt Ross is going to mess with the tank and try and get the Hulk killed or something, and what's his name? Rick Jones goes to, beat up Thunderbolt Ross. Never should be able to happen. I mean, general in the military, this guy knows how to fight. Come on. Right? It's Thunderbolt Ross. Anyway, so the Hulk comes out of the tank with something wrong happening, and he's the Grey Hulk again. And because Marvel wanted to change everything up. Well, people didn't like it at first, and let's face it, I mean, people don't want to give I can simply mention, Cap, Hail Hydra, right? And people just lose their shit, right? I could mention, my favorite Spider-Man. Can you see him swinging up there, right above my finger here? The Superior Spider-Man. He's my favorite version of Spider-Man is when Doc Octopus took over Peter Parker's body and became the superior Spider-Man. It's my favorite incarnation of Spider-Man. I actually like him more than I like Miles Morales. I love Miles Morales. Look, here's my Spider-Man and Miles Morales right here, right? But Peter Parker and Miles Morales. But yeah, people complain when you change their comic books. They go apeshit crazy and just, oh no, when, come on, man, same old, same old. Sometimes you got to shake things up. So they made the Hulk gray, and I loved it. And that, believe it or not, was my hands down favorite incarnation of the Hulk, because the Hulk eventually became Joe Fixit. I think it's just my Italian heritage, but he became a mob boss in Vegas. And if you said Vegas to the Hulk back then, he'd correct you and say Las Vegas, because it's Las Vegas anyway. So he becomes a hitman, an enforcer, and some incredible stories. Eventually, you know, he's got to fight supervillain types also, and but meanwhile, everybody thinks that the Hulk is dead, and he's thinking, I'm going to propagate that myth. I am not going to let anybody know that I'm the Hulk. So he's just this big gray guy. Now, he was able to pull it off because, one, it's comic books, and for crying out loud, hi, I'm Clark Kent, I'm Superman, and never the twain shall mix. Yeah, right? So it works because they say it worked. And that's really just all that there is to it. But also the Hulk was majorly depowered. While Hulk in his Professor Banner stage, minimum strength resting would be like being able to bench press 100 tons, right? Savage Hulk resting rate would probably be about 75 tons, 80 tons, 90 tons, probably 90 tons, something like that. Gray Incredible Hulk, Joe Fixit, resting bench press ability would genuinely be about 50 tons, so half as strong as he'd normally be, right? And he did seem to have a limit-ish, right? He could get up to lifting many times what he'd be able to lift as Joe Fixit, right? But after a certain while he could still get stronger, his completely rationalizing mind prevented him from getting too angry, because when he would get too angry, he'd realize that he was reckless and he would start thinking again. He was extremely devious, and he was always trying to think several steps ahead of somebody, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Guys, thanks for stopping by. This is Professor Bill, the absolute best teacher you'll ever have, at the Comic Book University, the definitively greatest school you're ever going to attend. And you too can attend the Comic Book University simply by hitting subscribe below. Take part in the conversations by discussing below, and send a like my way. I appreciate it. Talk to you later. Class dismissed.